Shuyi scheduled an interview with Guanji. She arrived at Guan's horse ranch, complaining in her mind about why someone would arrange an interview in such a place. She walked across the lawn to greet Guanji, who was leading a horse, and said that Guan's horse was truly beautiful. Guanji asked her if she was interested in riding horses. She replied, "No, let's just start the interview." Guanji agreed, and she suggested, "This place isn't quite suitable for an interview. How about I take you for coffee outside?" Guanji responded, "We have coffee right here." The interview began, and Guanji's phone rang. He said, "Sorry, I need to take this call." She replied, "Sure." Shi Yan spoke into the phone, "Guanji, come and beg me." Guanji responded, "Xiaoyu, regarding this matter, Shi Yan wants both of us to urge you. It's okay, just focus on your work." Shuyi, upon hearing Shi Yan's name, immediately thought of asking Guanji to help her settle her relationship with Shi Yan. Shi Yan said, "But I've never worked before, this is too difficult." Guanji replied, "Just treat it as if you're changing your environment to play on your phone, it's not that hard." Shi said, "Is there really no other way to avoid working?" Guanji said, "Xiaoyu, let go of your fantasies. But I don't want to see you so pitiful, so here's an idea, since you can't handle Shi Yan, think of another way." "Okay, I have to start the interview now." He hung up the phone. Guanji answered Shuyi's questions earnestly. She then mentioned having another personal question. In Guanji's mind, he thought she might be asking for his phone number, possibly under the guise of facilitating the review of manuscripts. As expected, she asked for his phone number, citing the need for easier manuscript review. Shi Yan pondered repeatedly over what Guanji had said, "Since you can't handle Shi Yan, think of another way." But what exactly could be the alternative solution? Shi Yan was in the office, going through some documents. Assistant Chen entered and said, "I've found out about Li Ying's source of funds. It's Minjiu." Shi Yan replied, "You already know." Chen said, "I didn't know initially, but now I do." Shi Yan was introduced to Zhang Shuyi. They shook hands and exchanged greetings. Zhang said, "That's your seat," and Qi walked over to sit across from Zhang. After a while, Nanan approached Zhang Shuyi and whispered, "Qi has been staring at her phone, you should assign her some tasks." Shi Yan discreetly nudged a bag towards Zhang's side under the table, but Zhang pushed it back. Qi stood up, picked up the bag, and walked over to Zhang, saying, "This is a gift I prepared for you." Zhang replied, "Skip the gift. If you have any questions or don't understand something, feel free to ask me. Now, go organize the interview from this recorder, write a rough draft, and give it to me before you leave work." Qi agreed, "Sure." Zhang gestured for her to take the bag. Qi Yan listened to the interview recording and recognized it as the interview with her uncle. She called Assistant Chen, asking for help in transcribing and drafting the interview, requesting it to be sent to her before the end of the workday. Qi heard Shi Yan's voice saying, "Next time, you should come and work with Chen Sheng." Startled, she quickly hung up the phone. Shi Yan arrived at Lin and encountered Li Yingsley in a meeting with Chen Sheng. He said, "I'm not here to interfere with your negotiations. However, I advise Manager Chen not to forsake the original intention for immediate gains, jeopardizing Lin's future." Manager Chen responded, "Lin needs this funding, without it, Lin's future is at risk." Shi Yan argued, "The interest on this funding is too high. Lin will end up shouldering a high-interest debt with Li Ying, making it difficult for the business to operate normally." Shi Yan presented his proposal to Manager Chen, saying, "Take a look. This is a funding pool I've set up for Lin. We'll continuously provide R&D funds in installments, but the condition is that you must have confidence in persisting with ongoing research and development. Furthermore, I assure you of Lin's independence. As long as you stay committed, Lin will have unlimited potential." Manager Chen responded, "A reporter said something similar to me a few days ago." Manager Chen apologized to Li and said, "I'm sorry, General Li. I appreciate Li Ying's generosity, but I need to reconsider where Lin should go from here. I apologize." Li, visibly upset, stood up and left. Shi Yan and Manager Chen exchanged an understanding glance. Qi Xiu accidentally spilled a glass of water on her keyboard, causing her computer to shut down. She anxiously called out Shuyi's sister several times, but Zhang Shuyi remained focused on her work, ignoring her. Frustrated, Qi gave up, thinking that Zhang was intentionally pretending not to hear. Initially, she considered leaving immediately, but the thought of her strict uncle made her sit back down and restart her computer. As soon as the workday ended, she quickly left the office, carrying her bag. Su Yuling led her in turn to introduce her to everyone, and Zhang Shuyi just realized that Qi Xiu had already left. Seeing Qi's tidy desk, she thought, she's a neat girl, just not fond of working. Su Yuling asked, Shuyi, where's your intern? Let's bring her over to meet everyone. Zhang replied, she has already left for the day. Su said, so early. Zhang responded, it's time for her to leave, she naturally finishes work on time. Qi Xiu had dinner with her grandfather, complaining about how close she was to being exhausted by work that day. Shi Yan approached the dining table and commented, someone nearly exhausted from work, yet eating with such enthusiasm. Qi Xiu turned to her grandfather and said, see, is he really my uncle? Not only forces me to work but also doesn't allow me to eat. Her grandfather addressed Shi Yan, why stop her from eating during her meal? Don't bring that domineering attitude from the office home. His father asked him, everything was fine, why did you suddenly have Xiaoya work as a journalist? He replied, she couldn't do anything else, so Uncle Guan asked a friend to arrange an internship for her at the magazine first. How was her day in the office today? She answered, I had to transcribe over 2 hours of recordings. I'm not a typist. That so-called interview was just like casual conversation. Her grandfather asked in surprise, they made you type? Who's your boss? She said, her last name is Zhang, and she's a woman. Shi Yan said, Zhang Shuyi. She responded, yes, it's her. Shi Yan recalled his interview experience and advised her, since she's your boss, humbly learn from her. She said, that's what I thought, but is she willing to teach me? I tried to ask her several times today, but she didn't even glance at me, completely ignoring me. Her grandfather told Shi Yan, bullying newcomers in the workplace doesn't seem right. He then served a dish to her father, saying, Dad, have some food. Guanji was at a dinner party when Shan arrived. Seeing him surrounded by 2 beautiful women, one on each side, she walked up and said, why are you taking so long? The car has been waiting for ages. Guanji apologized, saying, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Then, addressing everyone, he added, I have to leave now. Shan pulled him away. Zhang Shuyi was working overtime in the office, and she finally completed her article. Thinking about when she would receive Shi Yan's confirmation on the manuscript, she really wished she had his WeChat so that she could contact him promptly. Shi Yan accompanied his father for tea, and his father asked, did you go horseback riding over the weekend, and did you bring a girl with you? He nodded and said, yeah. His father inquired, been busy lately? Shi Yan replied, busy, with matters related to lean tech. His father remarked, ah, heard about that. Keep up the good work. Shi Yan returned home, reviewed the information on his computer, and called Professor Yu to arrange a meeting 2 days later. Professor Yu mentioned that he would be going rock climbing in 2 days and suggested Shi Yan join him. Shi Yan agreed, saying, sure, send me the address. Qi Xiu entered the office and saw Zhang Shuyi and Nanan having coffee together. She overheard Zhang Shuyi saying, I've sent the manuscript to Shi Yan, now, I'm waiting for his review. In her mind, she thought, Uncle, it's time to prove you're really my uncle. Zhang and Nanan noticed her as she greeted them, quickly walked away. Zhang Shuyi opened her computer, her expression turning serious. Nanan walked over, looking at her screen, and said, why didn't it pass? No reasons given. What does this mean? Qi Xiu couldn't help but smile secretly, thinking, Uncle's love is really great. In the evening, Zhang Shuyi worked on revising the manuscript on her home computer. At the meeting, the chief editor said to Zhang Shuyi, your team's task for this week is to finalize Shi Yan's manuscript. Then, he turned to Su Yuling and said, have your interview with Guanji ready to go, be ready to take over. Shuyi took the opportunity to tease, Shi, I've noticed you haven't been looking too good lately. Take care and get some rest, okay? The chief editor intervened, alright, meeting adjourned. The chief editor asked Zhang Shuyi, what's going on? I've read your manuscript, it's good, no issues. Did Shi Yan had something unpleasant during the interview? She replied, no, I was the one nearly thrown off the horse, he had no reason to be displeased. The chief editor said, until now, there hasn't been a single clear editing suggestion from him. Well, try sending him a message on WeChat. Zhang replied, I don't even have his phone number, let alone WeChat. The chief editor said, I have his phone number. Shi Yan arrived at the rock climbing location and saw Professor Yu already halfway up. He quickly climbed up to reach the summit at the same time as Professor Yu. Yu said to him, I didn't expect General Shi to be so skilled at rock climbing. Then, they descended together. Yu said, so you're currently challenging your mother company? Shi Yan responded, not entirely. Once Minjiao lends this funding to Liying, regardless of whether Liying acquires Lin or not, Liying will repay Minjiao with interest. Yunchuan and Liying competing for Lin is advantageous for Minjiao. Professor Yu asked, so you want me to connect with Bulusi for you? Shi Yan confirmed, yes. Yu said, I can reach for him. I know he prefers staying in the university lab, focusing on pure research. Consider other experts. Shi Yan shook his head. Zhang Shuyi called Shi Yan, but there was no answer. She left a voicemail, saying, hello, General Shi. This is Zhang Shuyi. I hope I'm not bothering you. Regarding the manuscript, I would appreciate your feedback as soon as possible. Looking forward to your response. Still not receiving a response from Shi Yan, Zhang Shuyi decided to call Assistant Chen. She mentioned that she had some personal matters to discuss with General Shi, and Chen assured her that he would find an opportunity to convey the message once Shi Yan was less busy. After returning from rock climbing, Shi Yan's assistant handed him his phone. After checking the messages, Shi Yan asked Chen, is there anything else? Chen replied, Reporter Zheng said she has urgent personal matters to discuss with you. Shi Yan asked in return, urgent personal matters. Zhang Shuyi was working late in the office when she received a message from Assistant Chen, saying, General Shi mentioned that he doesn't discuss personal matters during work hours and official settings. Zhang Shuyi pondered repeatedly, during work hours and official settings, no discussions of personal matters. Isn't this a refusal? I need to find a way, I can't let the magazine miss this opportunity. At that moment, her university alumni group on WeChat has new poster. She saw her ex-boyfriend's post with pictures of him and his new girlfriend, along with a group of people discussing the images. Shan Shan left a comment to her, saying, look at these people with distorted values. You must capture Shi Yan's heart to silence them. She replied to Shan Shan, how am I supposed to capture it? He already said, during work hours and official settings, no discussions of personal matters. Zhang Shuyi suddenly realized that she had two reasons to go to Shi Yan's house. First, her manuscript needed to be modified according to his feedback, so she must meet him in person. Second, her earring was still at his house. With a newfound confidence, she walked out of the office. Shi Yan received a call from Yu, informing him that Bulusi had been contacted, and he agreed to meet with Shi Yan. However, whether he would be willing to stay and help Lin depended on Shi Yan's performance. Yu added, I must say, the likelihood of this happening is very small. Shi Yan replied, understood. I will prepare well and try to convince him during the meeting. After Shi Yan hung up the phone, he recalled telling Assistant Chen, let her know that during my working hours and in official settings, I don't discuss personal matters. Glancing at the time, he stood up and headed out. Chen's assistant asked him, are you going home to wait for reporter Zhang?